Let's get back under the hood of the NX2000. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of Project NX2K. That is our 1993 Nissan NX2000. And today, guys, basically a continuation of last week. We get under the hood of the car to knock out some pretty routine maintenance items and some other odds and ends that need to be touched up on this vehicle. So let's get in the garage, get a little dirty. Another overlooked maintenance item is the fuel filter. It's one of my least favorite maintenance items to do because oftentimes they have these horrible plastic clips, not present on the Nissan at least, but you just get fuel everywhere and it tends to be kind of a mess. On this vehicle, it is nestled behind, kind of underneath the intake track there, underneath your brake booster. You can see it up there. I've just loosened it from these clamps. It just pops out. It's like 2 Phillips screws tightening the hoses. God, I hope those hoses come off. If it hasn't been changed in a while, they can be sealed up there pretty tight, but let's get ready to get that old one out of here. Here's our new one we're gonna slap in, another Books filter. But yeah, this is gonna be fun. You can see our shiny new fuel filter installed down there. It wasn't too bad of a job. Old filter, looking pretty rough, still dripping some absolutely nasty fuel out. But glad to get that out of there. Just replacing some of these crusty hoses here. I'm a big fan of not having vacuum leaks, And that looks a lot healthier than that old line. After removing the cruise control, we do have this T-fitting we need to cap off or we're gonna have a severe vacuum leak. So let's go ahead and apply a cap to that at this time. With a vacuum cap tightly fitted over the fitting, we are now good. The brake booster's one complete hose again, and we're not gonna have any issues with vacuum leaks. The time has come to take care of this line right here with these 2 hoses that are completely gone. As you can see, the rubber's basically become plastic and cracked on both edges. So that's just an invitation to have vacuum leaks and all kinds of other issues. So let's go ahead, obviously we're gonna use the metal crossover tube, but replace these 2 sections. We've got a big old bag of 5/8 inch heater hose, and that's gonna do the job for us, guys. So we're gonna cut some pieces to length, try to put the same bend in there. Being pliable will help because this has no flexibility, and we'll get that back on the vehicle. And any other hoses that seem a little too hard. Let's test fit our rubber hoses here. Just gonna slide that right there. This kind of tucks behind there. And now that we have some pliability, we should be able to get this in place. Might need to trim that a little bit. Let's try it out. All right, replace that old crusty hosing. Let's check out our air filter, engine air filter condition. Never know what you're gonna get in these. Choking up my SR20. Oh yeah, really dirty. Lots of debris and dust in there, so let's go ahead, slap a new air filter in there after we vacuum. Slap in our new air filter here. SR20 should be breathing better now. Time for some other basic maintenance under the hood items. One of them namely being spark plugs and wires. I don't know the condition of the plugs and wires. Car runs okay for the limited time I've run it, but this is just a preventive maintenance item. You should be doing this anyway when you get a car and you don't know the background of it. So we'll drop in some new NGK spark plugs. And of course we're gonna get the matching wire kit. So we'll install these right now. Get this SR20 really humming along. 5/8 inch socket to pull the old plugs out. Let's see what we're working with. NGK plugs. So at least someone knew what they were putting in. Let's check if they're the same I'm gonna put in. Looks like they were running a 5 temp range plug, and we're going with 6, which I think is the stock, so. Before we install our new spark plugs, let's check the gap. The service manual calls for a 0.031 to 0.035 gap. I'll put that on the screen to prove it. Now, let's see what we're working with here. Ooh, and that slides quite a ways down, so that's more of a 0.041 millimeter gap, and that is a little too big. We want to be down in this area, so we got to close this gap a little bit. Now these are the BKR6E11s, and they come gapped at that 0.044. So if you get the regular BKR6Es, they should come gapped already to that 0.035 range. But these are the ones I have. I'm gonna make them work. There's no reason not to. They're in the right heat range. So I'm just gonna close that gap, and you can lightly tap it against some hard surface. I like to use my concrete floor, not too aggressively, because just a little tap changes that gap. And we're gonna get it down to that 0.035 or ballpark. All right, we've got a couple love taps on there. Let's check where our gap is now. You can see it catches up just before the 0.035 mark, so that's perfectly in spec. We're gonna make sure to do that to each of the new plugs before we install them. So let's install these new plugs in the car, gapped correctly. Now, if you get a little too aggressive and go way too narrow on that spark plug gap, the tool actually has this section where you can simply put your spark plug like that and carefully increase that gap. Just a little top tip there if you go overzealous with your pounding of the spark plug. Time to install the new plugs. Spark plugs installed. Let's install our new plug wire kit to go with those fresh spark plugs. I love how the NGK kits are all numbered. That's just a sweet, sweet bonus. So we'll lay our wires out. I like to still do one at a time so I don't mess anything up. Here's your coil to distributor wire. You want to get that on there too. That's an important one to replace. A lot of people will just replace the spark plug wires and leave this guy for whatever reason. It's probably one of the most important ones. There we go. So we'll go in order here, which let's run 4 first. 4 will be our shortest guy here. And we'll organize all our cables after. So 4 basically runs from here to here. All right, we've got all the new plug wires in. Now I'm gonna take some time and organize them so it looks nice and neat, or as neat as possible. And we'll cut right back to it. Spark plug wires are looking pretty straight to me. Pretty happy how that came out. Finish up the spark plug job. Let's slide our distributor cover back over. Perfect. Looking good, SR20. Looking good. Okay, since we're done mucking about under the hood here, we can put our battery back in. It's been on a tender. And I'm going to continue to keep it on a tender because we have a lot more work to do. With our battery clamped down, there is something that bothered me about this car, is it never did come with a battery tie down when I purchased it. For spirited driving, I just can't have this battery moving around. There's so much liability if any of these comes, the positive or negative terminal comes off, your car's dead in the water. It's a pretty scary experience if you've ever had it happen. Ask me how I know. But let's get a good battery tie down kit going here. Okay, that's pretty cool. That should hold really tight. Wow! I like that they integrated rubber. Literally just a kit from O'Reilly's, just a Super Start hold down bolts battery kit. Let's see if it does the job. I will say the way this kit fits with this rubber top really allows you to make it very tight. This battery is not going to move at all when I get it tightened down. Surprised about the quality. I thought it was going to be a cheap plastic piece. Now I know these posts will need to be cut because they're going to be fouling the hood, I think. So that's something to be aware of. I'll just give those a little cut. Maybe I'll test fit to make sure, but they do look like they're sticking up kind of high. Let's see how this, oh, it's not moving. It's like welded to the frame of the car. That is freaking, big thumbs up on that kit, guys. Super Start from O'Reilly's battery hold down bolt kit. great application on this Nissan. I like that a lot. Yep. Time to grind these posts down though. That's not gonna fly. That's definitely gonna foul the hood. Angle grinder time, guys. Hand protection, iPro. Every time, don't risk it. That looks pretty good. Perfect, nice and low, won't interfere with the hood, and our battery is stuck in there good. On the NX, the windshield washer fluid cap is disintegrating. It's pretty unwholesome looking. This is gonna just shatter into a million pieces if I press in the middle. So I went and ordered an aftermarket one off of the interwebs. Let's see if this fits. Would you look at that? Super tight fit. It even connects to the fill neck there, so you can pop the cap and it doesn't go anywhere. What the heck? That almost never fits that well when you order stuff like this, but hey, there we go. Definitely matches the rest of the engine bay, getting nice and clean under here. Nice little fix.